sector will be maintained.
Someone's got to develop a product that you and I as a consumer are going to want to buy.
The country needs a comprehensive energy plan.
We don't know how long this will last.
Welcome to For the Record. I'm Jed Donahue, and we're delighted to have Paul Nichols, who's founder of Financial Abundance, an independent registered investment advisory firm based in State College, Pennsylvania, but doing work throughout the entire WHVL coverage area. Paul, we've listened to you on the radio. It's great to have you in.
Well, thank you.
The economy is such a big deal on people's minds, so we thought we'd get you in to kind of talk about the economy and also what to do with your money in the future, which is right in your, right in your zone there.
Better be my forte. Huh?
Exactly right. But what's your reaction right now to the state of the economy? Some people are negative on it. Some are positive. Where are you?
Well, when we normally look at the economy as a whole, what we normally see is a 2/3 bias. About 2 out of every 3 years is up, 1 out of every 3 years is down. This is historical. Oftentimes, I think the best picture for most people when they think of the economy is walking up a flight of stairs while playing with a yo-yo. You know, it's always gone up, but it's volatile from time to time. I think the bigger question is, when do I need access to my money is probably the bigger question. The state of the economy, overall, it's going to go up and it's going to go down. I think the state of the economy, and whether it's good or bad, directly relates to whether you have a job or not. As it relates to my personal opinion of the economy, I'm optimistic. Of course, I've always been optimistic about the economy. And of course, I think with the election, the last election that we had, I think it became very clear that people want a little more fiscal conservative actions in the government, as well as the fact that we have instituted some of the tax cuts. So based on that, I feel much more optimistic about the economy than I did 6 months ago. So overall, though, I say it's good. The last 2 years have been awesome. Everyone out there should be back in the black after the debacle of '08, which, by the way, had nothing to do with the economy. That was politics.
Okay. Now the intimidation factor. You know, say people want to come in, they want to invest, and they're scared. Maybe they don't understand, but how do you get by the quote-unquote the line in the sand where I'm intimidated about how to move forward because I don't understand it?
Well, that's the number one thing I hear, Jed. The number one thing I hear from people is apologies for what they don't know about their finances, which is ironic when you consider that we spend the majority of our time chasing money, and very few people know how to manage it. Now, why should people apologize for something they don't know if they've never been taught it or studied? I like the tic-tac-toe analogy. I mean, you know how to play tic-tac-toe. I know how to play tic-tac-toe. How did we learn? Someone taught us. When did we start to win? When we figured out the strategies. But in the financial industry, the reason most people are intimidated and overwhelmed, Jed, is because they don't understand what's going on. They don't have the basic education. And really, where is it taught? Who makes the rules as it relates to the financial industry? Brokerage firms, IRS, insurance companies. Who teaches the rules? No one. So why should you feel intimidated? What you should be is bold about getting educated. Let's take that intimidation and turn it around into determination to say, hey, I want to know what's going on. Don't just tell me your opinion. I want to know what's going on. Can you help me? That is Mr. Advisor or Mrs. Advisor.
Yeah, one of the questions you gave me in preparation for this show is financial literacy, which I guess you have to take it to the next step. How do you become financially literate? What are some of the steps, Paul?
Well, obviously it's education. The challenge becomes, where do you get that education? Because there's not a lack of information in our country, okay? There's a lack of clarity. So when people go out and try to get educated, the internet, I mean, you type in investing in the internet, I mean, it's amazing what will come up. How do you get educated? You start with basic primers. In fact, there's a book that recently, it's hot right now, called The Investment Answer. It's the best investment primer I've ever read. It's out right now. It's called The Investment Answer, and it's basically teaches people some of the basics of investing. Let me, at the fear of sounding like a conspiracy theorist for a moment, okay. I don't believe it's in the best interest of the industry to educate the consumer. According to Arthur Levitt, a former chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, he actually said, and I'm paraphrasing, that he believes the industry spends little on education because they believe undereducated investors are more profitable for the industry. This was a former chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. In fact, his book is on our recommended reading list. So it's not uncommon to feel intimidated. The question is the industry skewed to that end? The less you understand, the more I can lead you around than if you understood more.
Well, I find that interesting from a guy, from the Securities Exchange Commission. Those who are less educated are more successful in the market or whatever.
Well, they're more successful.
I'm just curious about that.
The industry makes more money off of them, in essence. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Because people are constantly emotionally investing rather than prudently and logically investing because of what we call investainment. I call it investment pornography. Because it's designed to stimulate a fearful or greedy reaction when in most cases it's better just to hold the course, stay the course.
You deal with a lot of clients, retirement, life savings and things. What are the biggest concerns that maybe people are telling you or that you would have too personally?
Well, the two biggest things I hear people talk about are taxes and running out of money because of longevity. Those are the two issues that most people bring to my office. Now, understand, most of the people I talk to are 50 or older, so we got to qualify that. Taxes. It's interesting. When I ask most people, do you believe taxes are going to be higher, lower, or the same in the future, they say higher. But yet, everything that they've done in their planning is to postpone paying taxes. That doesn't really make sense. So taxes are a big issue that very few people understand much about. In fact, I would say most wealth transfers for most people's life savings come in the area of taxes that they just don't know how to manage. The other thing's income. If you have your income in the market, or your money in the market, and you're taking income from that, and the market does an 08, well, your income takes a cut in half. So part of the biggest areas I see people are concerned about are taxes, how to deal with them and handle them. They find that everything they've done up to this point has been just the opposite of what they should have done. They shouldn't have been deferring taxes in IRAs. They should have just been paying taxes along the way for most people. And the other thing is the biggest concern is running out of money because people are living longer.
Right.
It's just, thank God. I mean, we're living longer. In fact, that brings up Alzheimer's. Why is Alzheimer's so prevalent in our country? Well, because bodies are lasting longer, but our brains aren't sustaining, cognitively. So, anyway.
Right, sounds good. We're with Paul Nichols of Financial Abundance in State College. We'll talk more about investments and the economy and other things on For the Record after this. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Jed Donahue. Our guest, Paul Nichols of Financial Abundance in State College. They're an independent registered investment advisory firm, and we spent segment one, as you know, talking about the economy and the state of the economy. Let's move into your business a little bit. And what do you see are some of the biggest issues in the financial services industry right now? Let's talk about home for a minute.
Yeah, I see some forced disclosure regulations being forced upon the financial services industry. I've said it for years.
Forced disclosure would be...
Well, what I mean by this is industries that don't police themselves will be policed.
Gotcha.
And there is a blatant disconnect, in my opinion, in this industry as it relates to disclosure. You can simply look at your statement and realize there ain't none, okay?
Right.
I mean, seriously, how many people can look at their statement and really ascertain what's going on? And which is really, I've always been amazing to me, Jed, because it could be transparent. So I guess there's two really areas I believe that have to be done, and we're certainly heading in that direction. Number one is forced disclosure. Total 100% forced disclosure. Now that's happened in the 401k arena. New laws will be instituted and put into effect this year that are going to force disclosure. It should be done more in the individual arena as well. I call most investing retail investing, in my opinion. So disclosure would be one area. The other one would be forcing advisors. See, there's two types of advisors out there. There's registered representatives, and there's registered investment advisors. They're held by different standards. A registered investment advisor, which is what most people have, works for a large brokerage firm or a bank, are held to what's called a suitability standard, which means they need to fill out a form that says it's suitable based on age, income, etc. Where a registered investment advisor cannot use a suitability standard, they have to use a fiduciary standard, which says they have to act in the best interest of the client, suitable or otherwise.
I gotcha.
So what I'm hoping is going to happen, there's only about 5% of the industry's registered investment advisors. I'm hoping that the industry forces more reps to have to get the registered investment advisor designation to force the fiduciary standard rather than suitability.
Next question. How does one get educated, not overloaded about the industry, and then they're insured about making prudent and wise decisions financially and things along those lines. There's a lot to think about, not only with your money, but going in and trusting an advisor.
Well, let's talk about
with
that.
my future.
Yeah, let's avoid that. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to be and have been a proponent of dropping that whole idea. In fact, I go to mastermind groups in California with advisors from around the country that have large independent practices. And one of the things that came up in a recent one was a conversation about trust and building relationships. And I had to hold some feet to the fire as it relates to that because, in my opinion, it's not about trust, it's about competency. I've had more people in my life that I trusted, family, take advantage of me than anyone else. And here's the challenge. Until you understand what's going to go on, you're going to have to trust somebody. So if you want to go that route, that's fine. Now, to say that I have to trust because I'm not educated is one thing. But to say, hey, I have the ability to get educated and I can decide whether I want to trust or not. So without sounding too complex, I say quit trusting and start understanding the few key things you need to know. And it's not that many things, Jed, really, to understand how to prudently invest. But most of the techniques out there are simply nothing short of speculation and gambling techniques that elicit trading. And trading is where the industry makes their money.
Right. I mean,
Does that answer that question?
I think it does. I mean, I think there's a follow-up that, you mentioned, and it does dovetail in to education is a big part of what you
That's my shtick, if you will.
Well, that's
that's
one of who you are. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in your position statement with financial abundance. So you try and help the client. You've got to educate a little bit.
Here's the thing.
I mean, I'm not going to the racetrack, and I'm not doing a 2-5-6 here.
Right.
With
Here's what I tell
future.
people. I agree. Here's what I say to people. If you want to work with me, it's going to require doing some homework. Okay. You're not going to hear sales stuff from me. If you don't do the homework, then we're going to have some issues. Because you have no right to call me up as a client, Jed, and say, hey, Paul, blah, blah, blah about the market if you haven't been to training or haven't done some of the stuff that you need to do. Part of it is taking responsibility as a client. Clients need to take responsibility and get educated and not just rely on what their advisors tell them. And the fact of the matter is, most advisors are commissioned salespeople. I don't care if it says registered representative or anything on that card says securities offered through, it's nothing more than a glorified sales position. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and I'm not knocking, most guys and gals out there are great people, they're doing the best they can for their clients. But when you're part of a mechanism that's dictating to you what to do and how to do it, you're nothing but a glorified salesperson. You're not someone that's saying, hey, I don't agree with that, you should do this, and here's why.
So you're telling me the difference between you and maybe some others out there,
the majority.
I mean, just talking philosophy here, whether it's fair or foul, is that you want your clients to be educated coming through the door.
I don't want them to trust me. I want them to know, because I don't want to field dealing with clients that don't understand later. I don't have clients calling me up in 2008 freaking out about the market. None of them got out of the market. Why? Because they've been trained not to listen to the investment pornography and the hype that's propagated from most media sources. Yeah. That's Paul's opinion, okay? It's not everything you read out there, every magazine you read is point counterpoint, Jed. You can't pick up an investment magazine and not find point counterpoint in it. You cannot watch a TV show on finances that doesn't talk point counterpoint.
Right.
As a result, any show or any magazine can go back 6 months later and say, see, we told you so. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, you're in the middle on everything. So, it's too late when you read about it. Is my point, and most of it out there is just hype. It's designed to create a reaction.
Right.
Fearfully or greed-wise. 60
seconds or less. I mean, sometimes is, do I stay or do I go? That particular statement right there about, I feel uncomfortable what's going on. Let's use oil speculation as one example, energy stocks or something along those lines. I want out. What do you know?
Well, do you know anybody that's at peace with their investments?
No, not
Why?
really.
Why?
I don't know.
Makes you wonder a little bit. Okay?
It does.
I believe it's a lack. It works. Education leads to clarity, and clarity leads to confidence, and confidence leads to peace of mind. So most people don't have peace of mind because everything they hear is point counterpoint. It's nothing but, back to my earlier point, it's nothing but hype. Same with speculation, gold. Let's use gold as an example. Oil, gold, grain, whatever it is. It's a commodity. It's generally pitched as an inflation hedge, okay? But it's kind of like gold. Why is gold $1,200 an ounce right now?
Right.
because the fear mongering that's gone on the last 2 years has driven it up. Now, gold, is gold a good investment? Well, I think if you have a well-diversified portfolio, you're going to own gold already, won't you, in the portfolio? But to think that it's a good investment, I guess, back to the oil question, well, if you're good at calling bubbles.
Right.
If you're a good bubble timer, then oil would be good, or gold would be good, or real estate would be good.
All right. We're with Paul Nichols, Financial Abundance. We'll find out about financial abundance and some other topics related to the economy and in the investment world with more on For the Record. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Jed Donahue. Our guest, Paul Nichols, founder of Financial Abundance, in-state college and independent registered investment advisory firm. A mouthful there, but it gets it done. We'll find out about this here in a couple of minutes about what financial abundance is all about. You were talking about just the influences that are out there. A lot of people don't pick up the phone and call like Financial Abundance or other financial houses, but they'll watch Mad Money with Kramer, or they'll see CNBC. Are these good or bad influences out there? And just give us what your opinion is. Is this really good for people that's their financial advice?
I think from an entertainment perspective, it's a lot of fun. Shows like Jim Cramer, whose producer, by the way, was behind the Jerry Springer show. So it's obvious that it's so kind of...
That explains a lot.
Yeah, it does explain a lot.
When he's pushing all that stuff.
Booyah and all that, yeah. Jim Cramer, that type of show and shows like that, they're entertainment. It's kind of like the Rush Limbaugh and all the other stuff. You got to keep this stuff into perspective. It's entertainment. Although I will say, I think Mr. Cramer's inference or his implied nature of a show that there's some insight to stock picking has done more to hurt most Americans than help them. If you look at it from entertainment, I think it's fun to watch every so often, but to follow the advice on there, I think is haphazard. I think he's done more to hurt most Americans than help them. Okay. As a result of the active nature.
Well, I'm going to follow up. Investment, is it about your own area, or is it knowing what's going on in others? But I mean, I'm talking about home court event. Marcellus Shale's going on around here, various things. We know the steel industry. I mean, things that are indigenous with who we are here in PA.
Like Enron.
That would be an example. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what we got to be careful about. I mean, I'm thinking of a client recently had $800,000 of his company stock in his 401k. My father, for that matter, works for a large defense company, just retired, had nothing but their stock. Great for him, because we happened to be retired in a wartime era, but had it been 5 years earlier, it really would have hurt him. I don't think that's prudent diversification. Most money managers won't keep more than 5% of any one stock or any company. So we got to be careful about that.
Okay. And I guess the understanding the dimensions too, this is, right off of your webpage, understanding and more about education, risk and reward.
Yeah, if we're going to invest, we should expect a premium. We call it a risk premium.
Okay.
If I'm going to put my money at a potential loss, I should expect a higher return than if I just bought a CD or a T-bill. So we should expect a risk premium. Unfortunately, and I don't know if we have time to get into the rule of 72, a lot of people, the rule of 72 is simply a mathematical thing that says I can divide the number of years into 72, it takes my money to double, or the interest rate, for example. If I am earning 10% in my account about every 7 years, 10 into 72, 7, it should double. Well, when we look at most people's statements where they say their yield's 10 or 12% for 3 or 5 years or 10 years, we often find their account value isn't incommensurate with that number. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, I think so.
And so as a result, a lot of times people aren't getting the returns they think they're getting. And again, people aren't doing what they really think they're doing. Again, a lack of understanding. Most people are just kind of following the crowd or what their advisor told them to do. And the advisor's doing what the institution told them to do.
Sure.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah, I want to get into, why you founded Financial Abundance. But let's do a history lesson first. We got about 3 minutes left, and I promised that we would leave enough time so we know who you are. But before you started Financial Abundance, you were out there with like a lot of the folks that frustrated you. You were one of the frustrators, so to speak,
yes,
maybe that's a way of terming it.
Well, that's true. I got in the industry, it's a little interesting, Jed. I came into the industry not from college, like a lot of people that come into this industry. So you come from college, you go to a large firm, and then the firm says, here's how we do things. That's kind of how most businesses work.
Here's
I came
our
in.
Blueprint, right?
Yes, here's our blueprint.
Right.
Our cookie cutter, whatever. Okay. I came in as an entrepreneur that already had a successful business, sold it, and they said, hey, I want to get into this industry because I thought baby boomers would be the way to go, okay?
Right.
What I realized after being with 3 major brokerage, large firms, you would know the names of all the firms, was that I wasn't truly independent. I wasn't truly doing the best for my client. I was doing what I was dictated to do from the firm. And so after a while I said, wait a minute, I don't have access to the entire marketplace solution-wise, although I am with the big name outfit. What I realized was, in order for me to have access to all the marketplace as it relates to solutions for my clients, I had to actually break away from the industry, start a firm, and register it directly with the Securities and Exchange Commission to avoid any other firm dictating to me what I could do and not do. So the perception for many people is, I'm with a big brokerage firm, I must have the best there is. No, you have access to what they're willing to sell you, okay? And that bothered me, because I was trying to tell my clients I was independent, and legally I could say I was independent, but I wasn't independent. I was simply an employee for that firm, and it wasn't until I'd been in the firm for a number of years that I realized this. And that's when I broke away, started Financial Abundance, and registered it directly with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
All right, we got a minute, and we know that we're on hard time here. You have education classes at Penn State Altoona, Susquehanna University, we're all familiar with that, and of course South Hills Business School. We're at a minute or less right now. You say education is key. You've gotten a lot of clients out of these classes.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's part of the Financial Educators Network, which is made up of about 500 educators around the country, not just financial people, but professionals that are deeply concerned about the direction this country's headed in the area of financial literacy. This course is taught in over 200 colleges and universities. I just decided to take it upon myself to learn the course and then teach the course. And as a result, we have taught many people in the community, and a lot of people become clients. The fact of the matter is, half the people don't have an advisor.
As we talked about
But they're
earlier,
intimidated
right?
by the industry. They don't know where to start, what to do. Start with education. Get a book, investment event, go to a class.
Well, Paul, I think if I was a student of yours, I know that I wouldn't be put to sleep by any of the stuff by your energy. It's been our pleasure to have you. We'll bring you back and talk more about the economy. Paul Nichols, everyone, with Financial Abundance, and you've seen their website underneath us. We appreciate you watching For the Record. Have a good day, everyone.